Before you were married, how did you imagine marriage to be? I know that's thinking further back for Robin and Randy than it is for you, Susie.
Well, I had a problem with thinking about that because I got married when I was 20 years old. So I came out of high school, went to college for a little bit, and got married. So I didn't really think ahead. When you're 20 years old, we got engaged when I was 19, and when you're 19 years old, a lot of times you don't really think that far ahead. It's get married, get a house, get a job, get a car. The rest will come.
He was only 19 when he proposed to me, and I really hadn't thought about marriage with Randy up until the time he did propose to me, and it was one of those things where, yeah, this is a good fit, and a year later we were married, and a year after that we had a baby. So I don't think I had too many expectations other than I knew what my parents had done, but I didn't think I'd want to be like them, but we kind of ended up like them.
Yes, our planning was so in depth. We were talking, and I said I wanted to get a truck, and she said we couldn't afford it. So I said, okay, well then let's start having babies.
And that was on our honeymoon.
Yeah. So now,
and that's what we did.
So now when my son gives me a hard time, I tell him that we should have got the truck.
How about you, Susie?
Well, it's not my first marriage, or it's my second marriage, and my first marriage, I went in not wanting to have any expectations because I didn't want to be let down, because I know, the world's not perfect, relationships aren't perfect. I didn't want to expect something and then not get it. So in my second marriage with Eric, the only expectations I had is that I wanted a friend and someone that I could laugh with, and just be myself. And that's, pretty much it.
Just someone to relax.
Yeah, just someone I could spend my life with and just, have the same interests and goals.
Anything to add, Eric?
Well, this is number 3 for me, so my first expectations, I guess, when I got married the first time, I was young too. I basically just didn't want to have what my parents did, so I tried to get into doing things differently, and it was good for a while, but being married young, it's so hard to actually tie yourself down and be married and do all the things you're supposed to, be an adult, and have kids. We had kids young too, but after the second one, I had a long list of things I wanted to make sure I got before I decided to do it again, and she fit pretty much all of them. So, but we had a lot of similar interests. We were fun. We laughed. I mean, it was really so relaxing. It was more. I really didn't know there were sane women out there either at the same time. So it was pretty neat to have one of those. So something you can be yourself with. That's all I really wanted to be. So, and that's who I was, and I never pretended to be somebody else around her. She accepted me for that, and that's kind of tough because I know I'm hard to live with. So.
Well, how about, as you said, the world's not perfect, and there's times when we aren't going to agree because we're individuals, and we like to have our own way oftentimes too. I'm just wondering if there's an argument that you've had that you've been able to resolve, and how you might have been able to resolve that. And you don't have to tell any more details than you want to tell.
We had quite a few over the years. Luckily, the older we get, the more mature we get, the more we forgive and understand each other's habits. Some of the arguments we have, I've learned that when I'm in a no-win situation, and so I think arguing is wasted time. I mean, there's so much more you could do with your time than argue. So much more out there to offer. So I'll have enough of the argument, and I'll tell Robin, fine, she's right. And then she gets mad at me because she says, you know you don't think I'm right. So she keeps going.
But I like to be right.
So we learned to argue a little bit, take a time out. We both settle down, and so then we can sit there and discuss it rationally. And I think that's the biggest thing that's helped us out through the years is now we argue a little bit, take a time out, come back and apologize. Okay, we overreacted, and then what's the true problem and how do we correct it?
We have learned a lot through the years, and what to do and what not to do, and how to pick your battles, and how to fight fair. And I think that's a lot of things that happen with younger couples is that when something breaks, they don't want to fix it. We all come from relatively younger. The younger we are, we come from throwaway lives where you can, it's easier just to throw it out and start anew rather than trying to fix what's wrong. I always still loved him, so that's what counts the most.
You ever had any opportunity to forgive over there, Eric or Susie?
Every time I open my mouth, she has to forgive me. I always seem to put my foot in it. But I think our biggest issues are our kids trying to put two families together, especially when they turn into teenagers. I remember my daughter came to move in with us. She was broken. She was a mess, and we had to try to. We had her two kids with us, and I brought my daughter in, and so trying to work on her and get all that together and still give the same attention to her kids and her and me and juggle everything that we had going on and starting a new business and everything. It was a mess, and there was a lot of fights there. I mean, there was actually physical times too with all the kids getting into it and having to break it up, and so it's just really stressful. But I mean, I seem to want to fix everything, so I'm constantly trying to work it out with everybody. I'm the middleman, so there comes a time when I've had it with everybody, and I blow. But we still stuck it out. I mean, like I said, we function well together. We're hot and cold, so we help each other out. But I don't think I could do it anybody else but her, because it's been really rough. And then we had my other son move in with us, so we had trying to put two families together. What's mine, what's yours, what's ours, what's everybody else's, and how to deal with them and all their mistakes, and then trying to teach them, and they're all different. So trying to treat them all as differently and still try to be together, and yet try to keep rules for all of them. It's hard to do, and there's no manual to do it. So we're constantly that you could have the best day in the world and then come home to that and be like, oh God, now what do you do? So that's basically where our biggest issues are.
Mm-hmm.
Well, there are times in your marriage where somebody hurts the other one, and you, like Robin said, I mean, sometimes for some people it might just be easier to just give up, walk away. You don't want to deal with it, you just don't think it's worth it. But when you love somebody, you have to make that choice. If I love this person, I stood before my family and God and said it was going to be forever, then that means the hard times. It's not going to always be fun and, smiling, happy. There's going to be times when in a marriage you hurt somebody. You hurt the person you love the most, and you have to decide, can I forgive this? Can I move forward? Is it worth it? And like I said, if you really and truly love somebody, then you fight for them, and you forgive them. And when you forgive them, you say you forgive them, and that's it. You don't bring it up again. You don't throw it in their face. You just don't do that. When it's done, it's done, and you got to move forward. Can't keep living in the past and the mistakes that you made.
The hardest thing with that is too, you have to forgive yourself for being the one that's
right.
being forgiven. If you can't forgive yourself, you can't really move forward.
How about any advice that you would have for people that are either having problems in their marriage or haven't quite figured out how to say I'm sorry?
You better learn.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Saying sorry is hard. Nobody wants to admit when they're wrong. It's saying sorry, it stinks, it's hard, because you're admitting that you messed up, you know, and you just don't want to.
Well, and the flip side of that is you have to be able to say, I forgive you.
I think you have to be in the mindset to where you have to understand that people are going to make mistakes. There's going to be times where people may fail you and where you fail them. And you have to put yourself in their shoes and just understand that, you know, I was wronged and I have to forgive this person, because there may be a day in the near future that I do the same thing to them, and would I want forgiveness from them? That's the thing, is what would I want? So what you want is what you should be giving.
That sounds a whole lot like the golden rule.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I read that somewhere.
We try to live by that. We really do. It,
Doesn't always work out, but you try. Laugh a lot.
Yeah.
laugh a lot.
Definitely,
Laugh.
definitely laugh a lot.
And that's why you always hear my laugh.
Yeah.
It's not always me.
Really and truly, just, you have to learn to pick your battles. You know, what's really worth arguing over and what's not. You know, the little things, they're not. You just gotta kind of, okay, and walk away. You know, you just take a deep breath and let it go. You know, and we laugh at each other a lot too, because I mean, sometimes he'll be screaming at me and I just look at him and I'm like, you're so, and I just start laughing. I walk away. I can't help it, you know, because it just seems like if I laugh about it and just walk away, then he'll start more like, why were we even, what was this even about?
That's what I do with Randy. He'll say something to me and I'm like, you're a dork.
Yeah.
And just walk away.
It's-
That's my big word for him now. You're a dork. And
Yeah.
You can't take
walk
everything
away.
personally either, because I
Right.
mean, there's constantly stuff going on all day long. I mean, you let off some steam, it's done over with. There's really, most of the stuff you fight about is probably nothing really major.
And there really is a man and woman language.
Mhm.
And when a man says, I'm just tired, is he really
He's
just
tired.
tired? You know, don't take it personally.
And when a woman says what's wrong, when you ask them what's wrong, they say nothing.
There's something.
But why
And
do we
that-
have to argue in bed? Why
And
why
they'll
can't
tell
we
you
just
their
go
own good
sleep?
time. And another thing we've learned is by weather or not the storm, the longer we've been married, the less little things we fight about, and even when we do bicker about little things, they don't last. Because you understand that it's really not that important.
Back in the day, he used to get angry at me about leaving the cap off the toothpaste tube and not rolling the toothpaste up. So what do? I go and get the pump toothpaste. So there's no cap to worry about putting back on and nothing to worry about rolling.
Solution.
Exactly.
Mhm.